What's up, castaways? This is Miles Away. Welcome back to another video. I'll keep the intro short this time, but I just got the OB-X8 in the mail and it sounds amazing. While I spend the next couple weeks learning it properly and making a full-length video on it for you guys, I wanted to just do a quick shootout in the meantime where I've dialed up the same patch on a bunch of my different synths. It's a classic analog synth patch, and I wanted to show you guys how each of them sounds doing this patch compared to the OB-X8, so you can decide for yourselves if you like the character and you think it's worth it for the hefty price tag. If you do enjoy this video, please make sure to subscribe so you don't miss my upcoming videos on the OB-X8 and on other gear, and thank you so much for watching. Let's get started. Alright, starting with the OB-X8. That's just so lush. Now moving on to the Prophet 6. Still sounds real nice. Now moving on to the Summit. Sounds really nice and analog. I spent a lot of time programming it to get it as close as possible. You do notice it's a bit darker. This is matching as bright as they can all go, but it still sounds great to me. And then finally, the OB-6. Now that just sounds absolutely amazing. Let's go back and forth between the OB-6 and the OB-X8 really quickly. To me, they sound extremely similar. I think there's maybe just a little bit more body in the OB-X8 and a bit more brightness in the OB-6, which we'll look at in a second when we play with the filters, because I've tried to simulate as close as possible for all of them. That was the OB-X8, now the Prophet 6 again. Now, I'm going to try to add even more vintage knob, but I think just the VCOs just aren't quite as crazy, aren't quite as wild on the Prophet 6, because I already do have a lot of it up. See, they're now adding too much vintage knob, it starts to get kind of out of tune. Both the OB-X8 and the OB-6 just sit in this sweet spot really nicely, where the oscillators are almost doing this chorusing thing together where you don't notice them out of tune, but they just sound so good. Back to the OB-X8 from the Prophet. For me, there's definitely a clear winner there. The OB-X8 just sounds incredible. Let's go back to the Summit one more time. And then back to the OB-X8. Definitely the Summit is putting up a great fight here. I am still just finding that for my taste, the OB-X8 has this really wonderful, really balanced sound where it's full and rich, but it's really bright and cutting. Whereas I would say the Prophet 6 doesn't quite have as much body as I would like, and the Summit has a little bit too much body. Let's go back to the OB-6 for a second. Back to OB-X8. Now those two are definitely the closest, and I think that's because of their filters. Now they both share the exact same filter, which is called the SEM filter, and I think that this type of sound is one of the things that the SEM just absolutely excels at, which is why, for my taste at least, the clear winners here are the X8 and the OB-X8. So let's go ahead and play around a little bit with the filters, because I feel like after having dialed in the oscillators as close as possible, that's where we can really get some differences, because even subtle movements away from this patch will change a ton. So starting again with the OB-X8, I'm going to go through the different filters. So we've been hearing the SEM filter. Next up, we're going to go to the OB-X8 filter. I really like this filter. It's not quite as bright, but it's a little bit more powerful and bassy, and it reacts really nicely if we start to turn up the resonance. Let's go ahead and do a resonance sweep. Sounds amazing. Moving on to the Prophet. The Prophet only has one filter. Let's bring up the resonance and do a sweep. That's a little bit harsh for me. I'm going to turn it down just a bit. Now, they're both sounding amazing, but again, I'm just finding that there's something about the OB-X8 with the richness of the filter with that high resonance sound. Now, moving on to the Summit. Now that sounds great to me. I should note that the only one of these synths that does not have a 12 dB filter is the Prophet 6, so that might be why it's sounding a little bit different and not quite as flattering in this sound. But this is the Summit on 12 dB filter mode rather, and it sounds great to me. Now let's move on to the OB-X8 last, and something I think you'll find is very shocking. Listen to how much brighter and how much more resonant that this synth gets than the OB-X8, despite them having similar filters. See, again, at full resonance, not that it's harsh, but I do feel to match it more closely, I would have to turn it down. There's that SEM filter in all its glory. Let's do a quick comparison of the two SEM filters. So I'm going to go back here. Now that's at max resonance, and it sounds nowhere near as resonant as the OB-X8. Max resonance. And again, one more time, the Summit at max resonance. Whoa, that's a little intense. So let's end this here, because as you guys can see, while we can make them sound extremely similar, all of these synths at their core do sound very different. And I think hopefully this was a good example of why they sound so different, but at the same time you can make them sound similar. Alright, so I'm going to stop it there for today, but I don't know about you guys, but I was really surprised by a couple things. Firstly, how amazing the OB-X8 sounds. There's just something intangible about it. I'm not sure if it's coming through YouTube compression, but for me, it sounds more balanced and three-dimensional than any other synth. The second thing I was surprised about is how well the OB-6 holds up to the OB-X8. Now, as I mentioned, I'm going to be doing a full video on the OB-X8 as well as a full video comparing it to the OB-6, but for now, hopefully that gives you guys a little bit of advice on which one to get if you're in the market for one now. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Again, remember to subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.